Hello, and welcome to today's webcast, Veritas NetBackup 8.0, What's New and What's Been Enhanced, brought to you by Datalink. My name is Danielle Moore, Marketing Manager at Datalink, and I will be your moderator. Before we begin, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. This webcast is designed to be interactive between you and the presenter. The webcast console you are looking at can be completely customized. You can resize or move any of the windows that you have open. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can click on the Q&A widget at the bottom and submit your question. All questions from this webcast will be captured. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties, please visit the webcast help guide by clicking on the question mark icon below the presentation window. The help guide covers common technical issues. I would now like to turn this presentation over to our presenter, Chette Boardman. Chette, the floor is yours.
Danielle, and thank you everyone for joining us today for this presentation on Veritas NetBackup 8.0. Start off with slides. We'll start off with the topics that we're going to cover today. So in this slide here, you'll see what topics we plan on covering. We'll start off with general information, and that will mostly contain a lot of the installation requirements, some of the new features, and some of the new screens you'll see during your installation. We'll move into the new features and enhancements, including extended retention, increased control of your scheduling, MSDP Encryption enhancements, additional HyperV throttling options, virtual appliance, the feature that has been added in. Then we'll move into security management and some of the security features that have been added into the new version. We'll move into supported environments, some of the new additional supported features and operating systems and products out there. We'll cover the WebSocket servers and some of the enhancements to BMR, as well as some of the HyperV support. And we'll finish up with our closing. We'll have some additional links, and we'll discuss some of the locations you can find support, documentation, and things like that. And then we'll open it up to questions and answers. So let's go ahead and get started with the general information portion here. Both NetBackup 8.0 for traditional installations where you build your own server, and the NetBackup Appliance version 3.0 code released on the same day, December 5th. So that was yesterday. We had the release of that. Some of the installation considerations when installing NetBackup. The traditional installation now has a new feature, web services, and this is for some current enhanced features, as well as future will include features that are going to leverage this web services. And I'll dive into that a little bit about what that is, and you'll see the enhancements to the installation for that, so you'll get a little background on that. During the upgrade or installation, there's a new requirement for an account and group to be created to facilitate the new web services feature. This is a required account to provide for the installation to proceed. You cannot skip it. In previous versions, you were able to skip it, but in the 8.0 release, it is required. This feature will be leveraged for APIs and role-based access, some of the upcoming features in forward releases. And there'll be other features that they intend to leverage this. So this is not going away. This is going to become part of the product, and it'll need to be there. This account can be a local account, local on the master server, or it can be an Active Directory account. It does offer Active Directory integration. So as I had mentioned in the installation notes, there are two additional screens that you'll see as you're going through the installation. The first screen provides the official requirements for this account, and it also includes a tech note, which you'll see circled in red there, that is a hyperlink you can click on to see what the requirements are for the account, how to set it up in the various operating systems. It includes Windows as well as non-Windows steps. And then the second screen, when you click Next, is the interface to put in those credentials. And you have the option to choose local or an Active Directory account. And then once you've put in those credentials, you'll click on Next, and it will verify those credentials and the permissions required for that account. Some other things to consider during an upgrade process as opposed to a new installation. NetBackup does support previous versions as media servers and clients with certain limitations. So this is, as with typical NetBackup upgrades, you do not need to upgrade all of the master servers, both remote and local, as well as all the media servers in one shot. They do work with previous revisions. Some of the new features that will be limited will be retention levels, the expanded retention levels, and MSDP encryption, and I'll cover those in an upcoming slide. You'll want to plan out your upgrade to take this into consideration when planning your upgrade, because this may affect your upgrade. As with any of the additional features and as they expand the product, some additional licensing may be required to take advantage of some of the advanced features, and I'll cover some of that as well in a slide. If you are unsure whether or not you need licensing, Datalink recommends you contact your sales engineer and find out. They will be able to tell you that information. Some additional considerations. So now we'll dig into the actual upgrade process. The installation is rather straightforward, but the upgrade process, there's some considerations, and that's where we really want to focus, because that's where you're going to find that things are a little bit different. The NetBackup upgrade should always be completed in the following order, and this is something that has been a NetBackup policy since the creation of NetBackup, back when it was first written, is with the exception of Op Center. Op Center should always be at the latest version, either newer or equal version to your master server. So that should be the first server you will upgrade. You upgrade your Op Center server. Once that has been completed, then you'll upgrade your master server. Now, once you've upgraded your Op Center server, it will talk to previous versions. So if you're doing one per day, or if it's going to take some time to get your master server upgraded, you don't have to worry about compatibility. It will talk to it. It will gather the data just like before, and everything will continue to work. Your next step will be to upgrade your master server. So you'll go through the steps to upgrade your master server, and that's where you're going to provide that web services account. And I've also included that link in the closing slides so that you'll have that as well. So you upgrade your master server. Once your master server is upgraded, then you'll upgrade your media servers. The media servers are just like the master in its relationship to Op Center. Does not need to be done at the exact same time as you do your master server. You can, but it does not need to be done. The media servers can be down revision from the master. The communication will still happen. And this is where we get into some of the features, some of the encryption on MSDP and retention levels you'll not want to implement. One of the biggest ones will be the retention levels. If you upgrade your master server to 8.0, you do not want to leverage those additional retention levels for media servers that are down revision. It can lead to some interesting behavior when you have to import images or things like that. So the best recommendation there would be to get those media servers upgraded to 8.0. And with the media server encryption option for MSDP, the encryption has changed, Blowfish, and now it is AES. So there is a conversion process that happens in the background there, and so you'll want to understand that that will impact performance, and you should plan for that. Once you've upgraded your media servers, then you'll proceed to the NetBackup clients. And again, previous versions of clients are still supported, and you can upgrade those at as your time permits. So again, they don't need to be completed at all at one time. You can go through them as long as you maintain this order of Op Center, Master Server, Media Server, and Client. It is recommended that you do eventually get to the same version as your master with your media server and your client. This is going to provide you all the enhancements with the new features, as well as making sure that you stay within a supported configuration, and just make sure you have the latest patches and fixes on there. So it's always a good practice to get to the latest version and have all your versions be the same across the board. There are some situations where that's not possible, whether it's operating systems that are not supported by the client, let's say, and you're running a slightly older client still within support, and that is fully supported with the caveat that you'll not be able to leverage some of the enhanced features of the latest. So let's take a look at some of the new features included in NetBackup 8.0. So in the administration console, some of the ones that you'll see right away will be your policy options and enhancements to your policy itself. This is where you're doing your day-to-day administration of policies and things like that. You'll see some differences in here. Of course, the expanded retention being the biggest one. Prior to NetBackup 8, there were only 25 retention levels that you can configure. As NetBackup has grown and environments grow increasingly larger, and NetBackup is used in many different ways with new products being supported, they found it was going to be highly beneficial to add in some additional retention levels to allow further customization, and now there are 101 levels. There's no additional licensing needed for those levels. Those are automatically configured when you install the 8.0 or upgrade to 8.0. Those levels will be available to you. As in previous releases, level 9 is reserved for infinite retention. This is a level you will not be able to change. This has been the case for the previous few versions. Level 25 is reserved for expire immediately. This is another retention level that you cannot change. And so those two levels are locked, but the remainder of the levels can be changed. To edit retention levels, simply open the host properties of the master server from within the administration console and choose the retention periods, and you'll see all those retention periods, and you can change them as you need. Another policy enhancement that you're going to see is finer control of your frequency-based scheduling. So now you can control the frequency of how often a policy will kick off down into the second. You have the option to choose down into the second, and you can have it running every 300 seconds if you choose to do it that way. There are some caveats with this, and you should be careful on how you set this up. You do not want the policy, obviously, to kick off and run, let's say, every 5 minutes. If the job takes 15 to run, it's going to be kicking off another job or attempting to kick off another job before the previous run has completed. So you'll want to plan that out, but there is that increased control there, which may benefit a lot of users. MSDP encryption. All MSDP platforms are supported for the new AES encryption. There's no additional licensing for this. This is all a background process. So in the upgrade process, this will kick off a conversion for converting to the new AES encryption. There's a couple of caveats to be aware of. There are no additional dependencies, first of all, so the AES encryption module is included with your MSDP software. So when you either install or upgrade, that encryption module is there. Currently, in current versions prior to 8, the supported encryption was simply Blowfish. This has now been changed to AES. Blowfish is being upgraded to AES, and that is not an automatic process. It is not going to change the encryption on the old data that is out there. but new data will be written with AES encryption. One of the reasons for this change is AES encryption performance is significantly higher. The estimate is 2 to 5 times faster performance when using AES versus previous methods. So they're switching this over, and the increased security of having a higher level of encryption. This process is all done in the background, and the installation of the encryption module for AES as well as preparation for new data being AES encrypted is all done in the background. There's no interface with that you need to take care of, so this will be done for you automatically. Current data is not converted. Future releases may address this, but that is not guaranteed. Since this encryption is applied per image, all new images will use AES, but previous images will remain with Blowfish. This may be addressed in the future, that they may have a conversion tool. This has not been confirmed, but this is something that they had indicated may happen. HyperV enhancements. HyperV has been moving up in the virtualization technology. They've been getting a lot better, and a lot more customers are starting to use some of the cluster features are really enhanced. And so HyperV environments are becoming more and more popular. And NetBackup is increasing its support and feature set for the HyperV environments. Accelerator is now supported for HyperV, which is something that has been lacking and definitely improved performance. So that is a good one. HyperV, for an accelerator work, you need to be running HyperV 2016, and your virtual machine configuration has to be 5.0 for that accelerator feature to work. The master media and clients, if you're using an off-host method, they all need to be at the 8.0 minimum release for this accelerator to work. And accelerator, of course, has to be licensed for that to work. Some of the biggest changes and some of the enhancements that are happening in the background are going to be, the biggest one being snapshot method. They are now using the WMI method versus the legacy VSS method. VSS was limited to snapshotting an entire volume, couldn't snap a particular folder on a volume. So when you were snapshotting a volume, you were snapshotting all of the VMs on that volume and just picking and choosing what you needed for the particular VM as it was being backed up. WMI provides a higher level of control and a tighter interface with the operating system, so it allows you to do a virtual machine level snapshot of the VM, so it's only going to snapshot that one VM. And with that comes the ability to leverage RCTID, Resilient Change Tracking Identifier, to allow you to perform block level backups of virtual machines. Now, this is something that has been done with VMware for a while, leveraging the change block tracking in VMware. That same technology is now working for HyperV, so that's going to help with being able to do block levels. The other problem with VSS is it doesn't scale well. As your volumes get larger and there's more activity, the VSS snapshot of an entire volume will grow very quickly, and it will tend to slow down the system. So new RCTID, you're not going to run into that limitation. This allows you to snap VMs individually and decrease the amount of I/O. So this is going to help exponentially. One of the most exciting features that I think a lot of customers are really going to leverage is the new virtual appliance that comes with NetBackup. NetBackup 8.0 now has a virtual appliance. It is a VMware virtual machine that comes with NetBackup and allows you to deploy this ideally to remote offices. What this is it's a virtual machine that has NetBackup installed on it. It has MSDP. Essentially, it is a master and media server as a VM prepackaged for you. You can deploy this to a remote office, and then you can set up AIR and replicate your images from the offsite, leveraging the acceleration of images being replicated with air. You're going MSDP to MSDP. There's no additional hardware needed. This deploys in VMware, so you don't need to have a server set up there, which is a really big benefit. There are some limitations to this. The first and biggest one is that this virtual machine or virtual appliance is deployed as a master server. So it becomes its own NetBackup domain. So to get data off of that site to, let's say, a DR site will require air. There is a 2 terabyte backend storage, so that's how large the VM can grow, up to 2 terabyte. There is a 2 terabyte front end license that is required for that. So there are some limitations in capacity. I don't know if that will change or not, but currently this is the limitations they've placed on that virtual machine. It's deployed through traditional methods in VMware. You're going to deploy a OVA template. You'll answer a couple of quick questions. It will deploy your vCenter environment. It does require VMware 5.5 or 6.0. It deploys with a single NIC that is pre-configured in there. And again, it's just using a standard OVA deployment, so it's a nice, simple, easy. Some of the other features that have been added in, some of the bigger ones, are the security management. This is something that has been becoming more and more prevalent, and they've taken a big leap forward with the 8.0 release. So some of the new features you're going to see in here are timeout locking, authentication failure handling, and user lockouts. Then you'll have the security management where you can lock and unlock NetBackup console, so you can actually lock it similar to how you would lock a Windows machine. You have an integrated login tracking portion of the NetBackup administration console, and you have the ability right from within the console to view the locked out users and unlock them. We'll cover that in the upcoming slide here. So first one we're going to jump into here is going to be the timeout locking. These settings are configured under host properties, user account settings. You have the ability to lock an account or lock the console based on a timeout value if nothing's being done in there. It's very similar to Windows locking when nothing is being done for 15 minutes, it locks the workstation. This is very similar to that. You have the option to just simply enable or disable. So if you don't want this feature, you can leave it unchecked, or you can check the box and you set your auto log off timeout value. And then you can enable account locked. And so this is the account itself, the authentication. You're setting up what your parameters are going to be for locking out an account. So if you have a user that's attempting to log into the administration console and they fail a certain number of times, you can automatically lock that account out. And that feature is controlled in the same area. You'll either enable or disable the account lockout, and you'll set the number of failure attempts and how long you want to lock the account for. So this is for the failed login account. The top part is the GUI idle timeout. That's when you have someone walked away from their workstation, set it to automatically lock that NetBackup administration console. To manually lock and unlock the console, pretty straightforward. The quickest way to lock the console is to simply click on the lock icon on your NetBackup administration toolbar. You click that icon and the console is locked. And to unlock it, you'll just simply enter the correct password. You'll have the server name and username in there. You'll just enter your password and log in, and that will unlock the console. Some of the tracking With older versions of NetBackup, you could track user logins using the NB audit command. It was a command line interface, and it could be pulled back in Op Center as well. This, they've integrated it right within the console. So in your NetBackup administration console, in the upper right corner, you're going to see a little drop-down box, login activity. If you click on that, and you can see a list of all the users that have logged in recently. To view security events from within NetBackup administration console, go down to Security Management and select Security Events. And this is going to show you failed logins as well as successful logins. So you going on, who's been logging in and out of the NetBackup administration console master server. We also have the ability to view locked out accounts in NetBackup. So this is tied to earlier where you set your locked out policy. So if a user failed their password 3 times, the account is locked out. There's also the ability for an administrator who does have access to unlock that account for you. As it implies, a locked out account can't log in. Another administrator can simply go down to Security Management, Security Events, and click the account icon. This will take a moment to load up as it gathers all that information, and it'll present you with a dialog box showing you the users that are locked out. You can highlight the user and unlock the user and allow them back into the administration console. So let's move into some of the additional supported environments and enhancements for support that have been added to. One of the big ones is Java can now be updated without impacting your NetBackup administration. They have separated Java, JRE, from the administration console to an extent. This gives them the ability to update the NetBackup administration console and Java security vulnerabilities without having to upgrade Java itself, or vice versa. This decouples the two of them very well and gives them the ability to respond to security issues a lot faster. So they're now decoupled. VMR now supports the UEFI and GPT partition styles with Red Hat 7 clients and virtual machines. That is supported in virtual environments now. It's also supported for Generation 2 VMs in HyperV. Another big enhancement is Stream Handler for Isilon. Now NetBackup has the ability to view inside data streams, NDMP streams, for Isilon devices. So when you're backing up data from Isilon, prior to 8.0, we did not have the ability to look inside the stream and identify the file boundaries. Now we can do that. We can actually see the data coming in, identify file boundaries, get the metadata, and this will improve performance, and this is going to improve your deduplication rates because now we can see that data in. We know what type of data we're dealing with. We can deduplicate it a lot better and a lot faster. At this time, it doesn't work with Accelerator. That is the limitation that is in the product. It does not support accelerated backups, so that's something that may or may not come in a future version. I haven't heard either way on that. We do now support Server 2016. Just been released not too long ago. That support is in 8.0. Same as previous versions of those, we support it fully. We support Azure as a backup target. So this allows you to configure backups to Azure Cloud. We support Accelerator, image import features, and Media Verify to Azure. We also support compression, encryption, metering, and throttling. So we can control the bandwidth going to your Azure Cloud. We also support OpenStack Swift, which is the technology that allows you to build virtual machines with specific components that is now supported for clients as well. Some additional support includes VMware 2016 support. So we now support that latest revision. We support individual VMDK restores from the command line only at this point. This allows you to restore a single VMDK in a virtual machine that might have 3 or 4 VMDKs, where you only need to restore one volume and you may want to attach it to another machine. You have that ability now, but it is command line only. It is not supported for Application Director or vCloud. We have HyperV Accelerator and resource limits based on VSS or WMI methods. So there are now resource limits to control the number of snapshots, the number of backups per host, and whatnot that you previously were able to do with VMware. That's now supported for HyperV. As I had mentioned earlier, we have also in tandem, the same release date yesterday, is the Appliance 3.0 release. This is the NetBackup Appliance 8.0 equivalent in appliance form, and there have been some expansions to what it can do, what it can handle. One of the biggest ones being the 687 terabyte max capacity, so that's been increased significantly. It also has the virtual appliance support. It now supports iSCSI. There are Copilot optimized shares for Oracle. That's a new feature as well as the auto upload of NBCP logs has been removed. So now you have to use a third-party tool to upload those logs from NBCP logs. You used to be able to do that from the command line as part of the process, and now requires manual upload through FileZilla or another FTP client. Another large product change is the addition and support of WebSocket servers. This allows web-based applications in the cloud to talk to master servers that are behind a firewall. And there's limited support for what can be passed through through those WebSockets. There's notifications for jobs and images, job states, including active and done, image notifications such as create, update, and delete. It uses the JSON, JavaScript object notation, for its communication, so it's an industry standard. And it's primarily designed to assist in data protection as a service. A lot of companies are moving to cloud-based and third-party backup support, where they'll have another company that will do their backups off-site or into the cloud. This helps to facilitate that. This is kind of a standard in the industry, and this allows a customer's data to be backed up without having to open up all kinds of ports in the firewall. This is done through WebSockets now, and that support and some of the features will be enhanced in future versions, including additional features that they develop that will leverage this. This only runs on the master server, so it doesn't need to be enabled on a media server or client. It does require the enterprise license to leverage this. I've included in the end here a link to give you some additional information about what WebSockets are. And again, it's an industry standard. This is not a Veritas developed product. This is an industry standard feature that can be leveraged. So think of it like a plug-in module to NetBackup. It allows you to plug into NetBackup and leverage third-party tools as well. So there'll be a link at the end of this presentation with a lot of additional information on that. So in closing, let's go ahead and cover some of that. We've got some additional information for planning your upgrade or installation. You'll always want to leverage the sort tool by Veritas. This is going to allow you to verify that your environment, hardware, software, robotic libraries, clients, are supported. The sort tool is an excellent tool to use to verify your supportability. It includes operating systems as well. So this is a great one-stop, officially supported tool to let you know if your operating system or hardware is supported. Here I've also got the third-party link to a Wikipedia article that talks about WebSockets, what they are, and how they're being leveraged, and different scenarios where they're used. On the right side, we've included information about contacting support. So here's our support number, contact Datalink support, where we can assist you with any issues you run into. I've also included the link to the web portal, which allows you to generate tickets through a web interface and interface with us, contact support. We have the email address as well. And I've included the support services website. We also have a YouTube channel where all of these presentations are made available to you, and they can be watched at your leisure. And all the previous presentations that have been done are up there, as well as this one will show up there. And feel free to visit us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well. Some additional useful links. I've included the link to the NetBackup 8.0 release information and the white papers. This is the official Veritas page, which includes white papers, documentation. You can download your manuals in PDF format, as well as get your NetBackup downloads. I've included the link as well for the Appliance 3.0 release information and white papers. I've included the article from Veritas that talks about creating the web services account. Now, this is the same one that you will find in the wizard that takes you right to their tech note that talks about how to create this account and the requirements for it. And then the NetBackup late breaking news. This is a tech note that Veritas puts out, and they update it frequently with any late breaking news for a product, and they have this for each product. I highly recommend going to visit this link and subscribe to the article. If you'll notice along the right side of the page, you'll have the option to subscribe to this article. What that does is when they make a change to the article, such as adding a new supported configuration, a new version, a new patch, an EEB, or a tech alert of any kind, you'll automatically get an email to let you know the article has been changed, and it gives you a short summary, so you're one step ahead of knowing what's going on there. And you can subscribe to any Veritas tech note just simply by following that same procedure. Subscribe to the article, so when the article changes, you'll get an email notification. Thank you for attending today. We really appreciate having you here. We hope that your questions have been answered. All the questions will be answered. Some of them may take additional research, so in that case, we will let you know that we need to research this, and we will provide you those answers eventually. And again, this presentation will be in recorded format on the YouTube channel. Time frame for that, I'm not sure. I believe it may take a couple of days. So with that, I will turn this back over to Danielle. Thank you, Danielle.
Great. Yes, as you mentioned, on-demand version of the webcast will be available within 2 to 3 days, and you will receive an email notification once the recording is available. Thank you again for participating in today's webcast.